The City of Bristol, providing beautiful parks, economic development, and a family-friendly community.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the March Joint Board meeting. I'd like to ask everyone to stand and join us in the pledge, and if the scouts who are with us tonight could please lead us in the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Would the members of the Joint Board please introduce themselves, starting on my far right?
John Smith, Board of Finance.
Marie O'Brien, Board of Finance.
Orlando Calfee, Board of Finance.
Jake Carrier, Board of Finance.
Peter Kelly, City Council.
Greg Hahn, City Council.
Mary Fortier, City Council.
Dave Perleski, City Council.
Dave Mills, City Council.
Cheryl Tebow, Board of Finance.
Scott Rosado, City Council. Ron Burns, Board of Finance.
I'm Mayor Ellen Zappo-Sassu, and we have our Town and City Clerk, Therese Pack, with us for tonight's proceedings. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the special joint meeting on February 13th, 2019.
Second.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to abstain from approval of the minutes since unfortunately I was unable to attend that meeting on February 13th. However, the record should note, and all of you, that if I had been able to attend, I would have approved all of the items. Thank you.
Thank you. One abstention for the record. Any clarifications or corrections needed on the approval of the minutes of the special joint meeting? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For the consent calendar, we have items 2A through M. Is there anyone on the panel who would like to pull out any of these items for discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to come before us to approve the consent calendar items 2A through M?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 is to transfer $26,118 from the general fund contingency account to the Parks and Recreation repairs and maintenance for repairs at the Dennis Malone Aquatic Center.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item, item 4, to decrease the appropriation by $96,000 within the Capital Project Fund for the Memorial Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is to transfer $240,000 within the Capital Projects Fund for the Memorial Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6 is to transfer $50,000 within the Capital Projects Fund for the Plainville contribution to the probate project.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll ask our Controller, Diane Waldron, to come up for her monthly report. And for those of us who are new to the audience tonight, the joint meeting is items that have already been approved by the Board of Finance and the City Council, which is why there's little discussion at this point in the meeting. Diane.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I don't have too much of an update tonight with regard to the revenues or expenditures for the current fiscal year. I think you can see in the report, tax revenues are still coming in strong, and as I mentioned previously, our motor vehicle supplement is going to come in over what we'd anticipated. And again, building permits coming in strong, and investment earnings, I believe, will exceed our $508,000 budget, probably by an additional $500,000 at this point, the way the investment earnings are coming in. Just a short, quick update on the budget. The controller staff has already met with all of the departments. I think the only department we have left to meet with the Board of Finance is the Board of Education, which is next Wednesday, March 20th. So for those so inclined to want to come to that meeting, the Board of Finance will be having their hearing with them on the 20th. March 26th, immediately following the Board of Finance meeting, there will be all the other ancillary departments, health insurance, debt service, capital projects. And I think the Water Department and the WPCA will also be at that meeting as well. And that will wrap up all of the budget hearings. And then April 1st right now is scheduled for the first budget workshop with the Board of Finance. So that's just a quick update as far as where things are right now. I know my staff and I spent all day today going through the budgets. We have a lot of work to do, and it's just beginning for us right now that we have everything in and putting the numbers together. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I know it was a very quick report tonight, but nothing? Okay, great, thanks. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the joint meeting? Okay, I'd like to welcome Scott Rosato to the joint meeting, which ironically is before your first city council meeting, but welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
Without any further ado then, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The city council meeting will start promptly at 7 o'clock. In the interim, for those of you who are interested, we are selling Girl Scout cookies in the lobby. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March City Council meeting. I'd like to ask the city council members to introduce themselves, starting with our newest member on my far left.
Scott Rosato, City Council.
Dave Mills, City Council.
Dave Proleski.
Mary Fortier.
Greg Hahn?
Peter Kelly.
And Councilman Kelly, do you have a special guest that you'd like to introduce?
I do. We have Tony Cilio here, who's a veteran who is recently inducted into the Veterans Hall of Fame in Connecticut, former hometown hero, and recently received a award which he brought with him.
Okay. Tom.
It is the Order of St. Maurice, an infantry award that was recently awarded Tony at a ceremony at the Bristol Public Library.
And while we're standing, I'd like to ask Mr. Cilio to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For a moment of reflection, over the last 30 days, we lost a former member of the ZBA Commission, Gil Andrews. I'd like to have a moment of silence for him and all of the other volunteers who have passed, who have contributed to the fabric of our city. Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the special city council meetings on February 13th and February 21st.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any clarification or correction on the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is public participation. And I know we have some spotlight people. The first, if he's here, Bill McCary. Okay. Tammy Kelly, Bristol Blues.
Good evening. My name's Tammy Kelly, and I'm this year's host family coordinator for the Bristol Blues. The Bristol Blues are looking for host families and/or parents in the Bristol area for the 2019 baseball season. This summer, approximately 40 young men from around the country will be coming into the Bristol Muzzy Field to play for the Bristol Blues. And they're a member of the Futures Collegiate League. There's about 15 to 20 of them that will need host families this year. The host family program will be a vital part of the Blues' success this year both on and off the field, as the team puts down roots in our city and at historic Muzzy Field. We are looking for individuals and/or families to provide a home and meals for players during the season. In return, the host families will get season tickets and other things for the home games and will be a crucial part of the Blues team. I'd like to thank Councilman David Perleski, yes, and the mayor for opening their homes and being host families. If anyone else is interested, they can visit the Blues store, the webpage. There's information there under community, under host family, and also they can call me or contact the mayor's office. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. The Blues are a critical part of our summer entertainment, so if anybody, empty nesters, families with young kids who love baseball, anybody wants to get involved in it, I can vouch for the last 4 years. We've had wonderful young men come through our house, many of whom that my children are still in touch with, and it's a great experience and it's great baseball. Next on the agenda, Jennifer Louise Smith from the Girl Scouts, who are celebrating their 107th birthday today.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. I'm Jennifer Smith, the Service Unit Manager for Bristol and Forestville Service Unit Girl Scouts in Connecticut. And this is my daughter, Kaylee Smith. She's a Brownie. Today we are commemorating on March 12th, the day in 1912 when Juliette Gordon Low, also known as Daisy, officially registered the Girl Scout Organization's first 18 girl members in Savannah, Georgia. They were known as Girl Guides then. In 1915, they were incorporated as Girl Scouts. They rapidly grew into 10,000 girls in 328 cities by 1916. Now, 107 years later, it is said that more than 60 million American women have been part of the Girl Scouting at some point in their lives. I'm wearing my pearls tonight in honor of Daisy's memory, as she sold off her own pearls for $8,000 in desperate need of funds to get the organization up and running. They were a wedding present from her husband. Lowe dedicated almost all of her personal assets to finance the expenses of the movement. Today, those pearls would have been worth around $185,000. That just shows you a little of the selflessness this woman had in her soul. Now, during Girl Scout Week, many young girls will receive fake pearls to inspire them to continue to give back through community service projects. This year alone, Bristol Girl Scouts has donated birthday boxes with items to the homeless children in hopes that some of the needing children in need would have a brighter special day. One troop made some t-shirt bags filled with toiletries for the homeless. We made Christmas cards and ornaments for the elderly at the Pines and went and sang Christmas carols to them. We wrote cards and sent them overseas to our men and women in the military. We wrote cards of remorse and grievance to the troop in Wisconsin that lost 3 little girls and a troop leader in a horrific accident that I'm sure most of you saw on the news. We assisted in cleaning up the Pequabuck River, and this year will be their second time that we're doing that. And we had a daisy troop that created and maintains a butterfly garden at Page Park. A troop of our Brownies are also making a rain catch that will keep the garden watered throughout the year. We also assisted in food donations in the fall during the Election Day booths, and we had our own food collections in the service unit to donate to local churches and food pantries. These are just a few things that our girls have done over the last year. They continue to get inspired, to get their inspiration from their great troop leaders, to keep doing projects throughout the community. May 4th, Girl Scouts of Connecticut is holding a huge bridging ceremony called Bridge Over Connecticut in Hartford. We welcome the Bristol community to come and out to Mortson Riverfront Plaza in Hartford from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. to watch the girls in a talent competition and also a mass bridging over the Connecticut River. And Madam Mayor, on May 31st, we are also planning our Leaders Appreciation Dinner at the Polish American Club to pay thanks to all of our great troop leaders and mentors in Bristol Forestville Girl Scout Service Unit. And we would like to extend a special invitation to you and any of your council members who would like to come along to this event.
Thank you.
We thank, can you pull that up? We thank the city members for supporting our fundraising activities that allow us to spread joy and show selflessness that comes in many different sizes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list is Brian Cohen to talk about the state tour of the Andrew McLean exhibit.
How are we all doing tonight?
Hi, Brian.
My face is cleared up, about 85%. Last time I was here, I had Bell's palsy, and I had great difficulty speaking. But it was important for me to come on that day regardless, and I thank you for your hospitality. Today is going to be low-key, and that is why. But the legacy of Andrew McLean. It was at the state capitol in January. It was edgy, but it was truthful. And I got a lot of people coming up to me and thanking me for the time to put that 50-foot part of the wall up at the Capitol. I just want to let you know the number of people that came up to me for the last 3 years I've been doing it at the Capitol. No one has ever come up and said anything. But this last round, they did. That exhibit is going on tour across the state. It's important for the legacy of Andrew McLean, and it's important for the guaranteed statutory rights that were supposedly in place to protect not just that boy, but all the clients who went to that hospital whose rights were violated repeatedly and consistently. The last thing I'm going to say, before I say thank you for your time, is that if a principal or a teacher or somebody applied for a job and they lied about their educational history, their educational part of life, what they did in this world regarding their education, and they lied about that to get a job. They lied about what they did to get that job. They lied and cheated to get that job over any other child who did the work, got the degree, and deserved the opportunity. If a community leader is hired without a search, who lies to the public about his actual work history in the field, states untruths about what they actually did, what's the difference between that person who lies about my work history versus that other academic who lies about, my educational history? They both lied about what they did to cheat, to manipulate, to set a poor example to children about what it is to be an adult. And last thing before I leave, I just want to remind you of our pledge. All right? Under God, show me the religion that says it's okay to lie. Just show it to me, please. Show me the religious text, the God that we just did the pledge to, that says, yeah, it's cool to lie. Make stuff up. And then maybe I will stop the legacy of Andrew McLean. But one last thing, it's about a lot of kids who were at that place. Not the one who just passed away March 22nd. Okay? I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rich Miskell for Meals for the Needy, Meals for Neighbors. Oh my God, I can't.
Good evening. I wasn't sure I was going to speak tonight. I'm here actually with the Boy Scouts who are working on their merit badges, but I thought while I was here I would bring up an issue, because I'm not only the committee chair for our Boy Scout troop, but I'm also the vice president of our church council. That church is Zion Lutheran Church on Judd Street. We're the oldest soup kitchen in the city. Well, right now we're faced with our insurance company is having us put in a commercial range hood. We're out for quotes, and this is pretty shocking to me, $20,000 to $25,000 to put a range hood. We're a very small congregation. We've been able to keep the soup kitchen going. We serve meals Monday through Thursday evening, beginning at 4:30. Open to everybody. We don't turn anybody away. And it's going to be difficult, at least, for us to fund that. So I would like to see the city council, I would like to see city business leaders get behind this. Because again, with the extremely small congregation that we have and shrinking, unfortunately, with the aging population, I don't know that we're going to be able to do it. I didn't come here with a specific action request, but I wanted to let you know what was going on, because I'll probably be back when I have a little more specifics. I certainly hate to see this mandate be the end of Meals for Neighbors. And you were right also, Meals for Needy was the old name. We recently changed it. We certainly don't plan to make it the end, but anything the council could do on our behalf would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. I just wanted to let you know what was going on. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And if you want to call my office tomorrow, we do have a couple of emergency funds that we can refer you to, and also Justin Malley, who's sitting right there. Raise your hand, Justin. It's too late this year for the Community Development Block Grant Program, which I think Zion used to apply for, but we can get you set up with what can happen through some of those programs that you're eligible for.
I appreciate that. We may have missed that application because we've gone through
Some leadership changes.
Right, leadership changes. Thank you.
Okay, but there are some other options.
Thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Okay. Okay, all right. Is there anybody that is here in the audience that didn't realize we had a sign-up sheet or has now decided that there's something that they would like to speak to? You can do so now. Okay. We're going to move on to announcements. The first item is every month we like to do employee recognition. There are lots of employees that deserve to get recognized, but for this month, I just want to center on this building, City Hall. We have 4 custodians that work here on first shift and over second shift, and with the weather and snow, sand, everything being tracked into the building, we have a new set of people working here, and the building has never been cleaner. And it's also been a reduced workforce for a part of the last year as we've reorganized Public Works and we've eliminated a couple of positions. So on behalf of my office, which is on all the different floors, and seeing the stairwells and seeing the challenges that they put up with, I'd like to extend my appreciation to our custodial staff because I think they're doing a great job, many of whom are new in the positions as well. We do have a variety of announcements about things happening in town that are running on the board that will continue to do so for most of the meeting. But do council members have anything that they'd like to announce tonight? Starting on my far left.
The police board?
We'll do that under committee reports.
I don't yet, as of yet.
Okay, you're new.
Nothing. Nothing, thank you.
I have one item, Your Honor. The University of Connecticut boxing team is working with the Bristol, the Boys and Girls Club of Bristol, to host the 2019 National Collegiate Boxing Association Eastern National Qualifier. It's a 3-day event. It starts on March 15th and goes through March 17th. And collegiate boxers earn the right to represent their respective colleges and also have an opportunity to earn the title of national champion. Boxers from all over New England participate. As a matter of fact, 38 years ago, 39 years
God.
ago, Peter Kelly was a pugilist, and he partook in this event. Did you win?
1-1.
All right, fair enough. But anyways, that's on March 15th to March 17th, and mark your calendars.
Okay. Councilman Kelly? How much did you pay Councilman Hahn to make that announcement? All right, we're going to move on to our consent calendar. We have items 5A through G. Would anybody on the council like to pull out any of those items for further discussion or questions? I would just like to note 5C, referring Hope Street to the Planning Commission and the Board of Public Works for review, because we're hoping to open that in conjunction with the hospital opening, which will be happening in the next couple of months. Anybody have anything they'd like to discuss on the consent calendar? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve 5A through G?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For our reports and committees tonight, we'll start with the Real Estate Committee. Councilman Proleski.
Thank you, Your Honor. This next motion is a recommendation from the Real Estate Committee, and it's intended to renew a listing agreement for one of our city-owned real estate properties. I hereby move that the City of Bristol enter into an exclusive right-to-sell listing contract with Keller Williams Realty for the properties known as Lot 35D, Glen Street, and Lot 35C, Glen Street. Said listing agreement to commence on March 12, 2019. I further move that this matter be referred to the Corporation Council to prepare and/or review any necessary documents. I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Councilman Mills has 6B.
Okay, I hereby move to grant the Bristol Chamber of Commerce permission to use property known as Assessors Map 41 Lot 8-1 East Main Street on May 5th, 2019, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. for their annual duck race. I further move that this matter be referred to the Department of Public Works to determine the appropriate location of the event on the property. I further move that this matter be referred to the Corporation Council Office for insurance compliance. I further move that the mayor and acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the update regarding the Memorial Boulevard School. Councilman Proleski?
Thank you, Your Honor. The Memorial Boulevard Interdistrict Building Committee meets every 2 weeks on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. at the Board of Education. At our last meeting on February 28th, it was very well attended by the community and community groups. There are two topics for discussion. One was talking about project labor agreements, which a presentation was made by both community members, residents, citizens, and community groups regarding the pros and cons of having a agreement with the labor unions. The second thing that was a major topic of discussion was a programming update that was presented to the committee and the general public by Mrs. Carly Fortin. They talked about the initial design concepts, with the progress to date on curriculum and initial design principles. They also talked about next steps, and they addressed certain committee members' concerns about the progress to date and the progress that they intend to do over the next 6 months. That's it, Your Honor. Any questions?
Any questions for Councilman Proleski concerning the Memorial Boulevard? The next meeting is Thursday, I believe.
Thank you. The next meeting is Thursday night, 6:30 at the Board of Education. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, the next committee report is the Mayor's Opioid Task Force. We actually met last night. We have a bunch of action items that, after several months of discussion, were coming to fruition. The first were the production of our resource brochures. The first one is for general use. We used it at the health fair on Saturday. It's entitled Bristol's Opioid Community Crisis and What Can We Do? And in it, it has treatment access line definitions, pharmacies that have Narcan, resource and counseling opportunities, alternative pain management. And on the back, it's dedicated to the street drug trading as opposed to the chronic pain that leads a lot of people into addiction. So this is one that is going to be a resource in city departments, at libraries, at the senior center, and we're hoping that people who may be having issues within their family will feel comfortable and pick up this brochure and have some advice. This one is the same brochure with a different cover, and it's called You Have Survived an Opioid Overdose. This is in the med bags that are carried by the police officers as first responders, and as they respond to a home or other situation, they will be leaving these brochures behind. The hospital emergency room also notified me today that they will be taking these brochures and also incorporating it into their discharge counseling for people who need to get into a recovery program. So we've revised this 7 times to make sure that it had all the information that the committee felt that it was important to have, and they are currently in circulation. Copies of the community one are at the sign-in sheet in the lobby if anybody would like to take one. They're also available online. We have a website, the website, but there's a section on our website for the opioid crisis. So if you go to the homepage, you can click on it, and we've loaded a lot of information there that can be used as a resource as well for people who are interested in accessing it from the privacy of their own home. We're also updating our AMP radio commercials that play within the gas stations as you're pumping gas. The first set were done by myself and Chief Gould. I believe Councilman Fortier is doing one, and we have some of our staff from the Department of Youth Services doing them as well. So that's all in process, and in April, all of you will receive in advance as part of our agenda a recommendation from the Opioid Task Force for Bristol to decide to be a recovery-friendly community. And there's a checklist that we've been working on for the last 3 or 4 months, and we believe at this point, with the assistance of many of our stakeholders who come to the meetings, that we can in fact designate ourselves as such. So that will be coming as an action item at our April City Council meeting, with you having the opportunity to have paperwork ahead of time so that you can see what that's all about. And that's our report for March. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. Moving on to the Ordinance Committee, we have 2 items.
Thank you, Your Honor. These next 2 items are recommended from the Ordinance Committee. The next is a motion to revise Section 21-49 that empowers the Zoning and Planning Committee rather than this council to deal with certain applications. I hereby move that the time and place of Wednesday, March 20th, 2019, at 4:50 p.m. in the first floor meeting room, City Hall, 111 North Main Street, Bristol, Connecticut, be set for the holding of a public hearing thereon by the Ordinance Committee, and that the city clerk publish notice of said public hearing and the proposed amendments to the Code of Ordinances as required by city charter.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the second, Your Honor, is regarding Chapter 2 administration, and it's designed to add an additional trustee to the Retiree Health Care Trust. Again, it's for another public hearing. I hereby move that the time and place of Wednesday, March 20th, 2019, at 4:55 p.m. in the first floor meeting room, City Hall, 111 North Main Street, Bristol, Connecticut, be set for the holding of a public hearing thereon by the Ordinance Committee, and that the city clerk publish notice of said public hearing and the proposed amendments to the Code of Ordinances as required by the city charter.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Other committee reports, starting on my far right.
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I have 2 brief committee reports. The first one regarding registration of kindergarten, which began on March 1st, and that is at the Bristol Board of Education, central registration at 129 Church Street. And walk-ins are welcome. The hours are 8:30 to 3:30. And if your child is currently a pre-K student in a Board of Education school, you're automatically registered. The only thing the parent has to do is upgrade the child's health records. There's also going to be a first-time parent orientation, which is called One Night, One Purpose. And this is going to be district-wide. and it's going to be May 29th. That's a Wednesday from 6 to 7, and it's going to be sharing with the parents certain things, certain skill sets that their child is going to need to be prepared for kindergarten. And anyone that enters registration on time for kindergarten can put their child into a contest where they can potentially, one child will win a ride on a fire engine to school. So one lucky child is going to win that. I'd like to share now some accomplishments of our students. Up until a short time ago, I wasn't aware that there was an all-state designation for music and art students. I, like a lot of people, probably focused on sports and was not aware of that. So a lot of these students do not get the recognition that athletes do, so hopefully a little step to change that tonight. There's a Scholastic Art Award recipient, and this was designated to 5 students recently from Bristol: Alexandra Bello, Kevin Ruiz Cruz, Genevieve D'Amboise, Erica Guzman, and Kate Sullivan. And this is the Connecticut Regional Scholastic Art Award, which is the largest juried student art exhibit in the state, with over 150 schools participating. And this includes students from the 7th to the 12th grade. Public, private, and parochial schools submit artwork, and 5 students in Bristol were chosen for their creative artwork. 2 students from Bristol have been chosen to participate in the All-State Music Festival: Devorah Trestman and Luke Ashworth. An All-State Festival recognized the top high school musicians in the state of Connecticut. Students can only audition if they have a high enough score to make it in their regional festival. And these 2 Bristol students I had mentioned previously prepared for a demanding audition and received a score high enough to qualify for this all-state festival. And I don't know if anyone was in attendance here. I think a few people were at the recent Board of Education meeting. And a young lady by the name of Precious White sang the national anthem. And she was recently entered in the International Championship of High School A Cappella quarterfinalist competition. And she ended up winning it. She was the #1 singer out of 40 solos. So that's quite impressive. Now on to student athletes. The Hartford Courant 2018 Girls Volleyball Player of the Year from Bristol Eastern was Aliana Rivora. Does that name sound familiar, Councilman Mills? That's Councilman Mills' granddaughter. And in addition to that, she was also All-State. She was a 3-year varsity starter and senior captain. And she's the only player in the state to average over 9 points per set. And she actually was closer to 10. It was 9.8. She also had a state leading 139 aces. And Aliana is coached by her mother, Stacy, and she's a typical coach's daughter, very fundamentally sound. Her position is setter, which is akin to a point guard in basketball. The entire offense runs through her. So it's a very pivotal position. And strangely enough, as I said to Councilman Mills, I think she doesn't plan to play at the varsity level when she goes to college. She's that good that I think once they get a load of her, she's going to be recruited. But let's wait and see. The second student athlete, in addition to her athletic prowess, she's also very good in the classroom. She's a member of the National Honor Society, the Spanish and Science National Honor Society as well. Now, the second student athlete is a young man by the name of Jose Ramirez. He's a junior at Bristol Central, and he recently won the 600 meters in the Class L championship. He ran that in 1 minute, 24 seconds, and 76 100ths, and that's moving. And he also runs cross country for Tamara Stafford Kirk at Bristol Central, and he's in their top 5. The third student athlete is someone that the mayor knows well and has seen the past 4 years, along with her son, a young man by the name of Trinidad Gonzalez, who's a 3-time Class L champion at different weight classes like many of us. He gained weight as he got older, and he recently won the state open, which is the tops of all the divisions at 220 pounds. And he was the leader of the state champion Bristol Eastern team, which won the state title 3 years in a row, which is unheard of. And Trinidad is also a middle linebacker in football. He led the league in tackles last year. And I read a quote by Trinidad that I got a kick out of. He says he likes to hit people. So playing football, that's a skill that is well used.
Not so much in wrestling.
Yes. Well, thank you, Mayor.
Oh, thank you, Councilman Kelly, for that great report.
My pleasure.
Councilman Hahn, can you follow that?
I think he said it for all of us.
Okay.
I have one brief report, Your Honor. I am a member of the HRA Board, that is the Human Resources Agency, which many of us know has been in New Britain for many years. And in my last couple terms on the council, I did a lot of discussion about HRA taking over the BCO, the Bristol Community Organization. And I realized that I hadn't reported on that in some time, partly because it's going very well. I think the transition has gone well. I think the staff at the Bristol office are serving our citizens well. But I did want to note two things that are going on. One is that the Bristol chapter of the NAACP has been in Bristol for many years. I believe it's 1968 that they've had a chapter here in Bristol. And for the first time in their years in Bristol, they now have an office at the HRA building. So that was a big milestone for the NAACP, and I do want to publicly thank HRA for making that possible. And again, I think it bodes well for how they're fitting into our community. They're partnering with organizations that have similar visions to theirs. One other thing that HRA is doing this month is finishing up the tax returns. That's the item up on our board right now. The VITA program is a program that HRA and BCO before it were doing here in Bristol, helping low-income folks get their tax returns done and hopefully get their returns back to those citizens of Bristol and maximize those returns particularly for low-income folks. So if anyone still needs to get their taxes done, they can call and make an appointment at the Bristol office of HRA. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any more reports?
Thank you, no.
Councilman Rosado.
Please, Board.
Thank you. I have to report on the Bristol Police Department. The Bristol Police Department, in partnership with the Exchange Club, will be honoring officers Dustin DeMonte and Zachary Levine this month as they have been awarded the 2018 Bristol Police Officers of the Year. The Bristol Police Department was recently recognized by the CT Special Olympics and awarded a 2018 level of excellence for raising over $15,000. In addition, the Connecticut Special Olympics awarded the Bristol Police Department with Adopt a Mile Award for grossing the largest Adopt a Mile sales to support the law enforcement torch run. The Bristol Police Department would like to thank our community for their generous contributions to this cause. On Wednesday, March 27th, Bristol Police Officer Jonathan Taylor will be graduating this Connecticut Police Academy and will begin his field training at the Bristol Police Department. The Bristol Police Department would like to remind the community of Ordinance Section 21-23, ice and snow to be removed by a budding owner. The police department is still receiving unshoveled sidewalk complaints. The Bristol Police Department would like to remind the community that the all-night parking restriction will be lifted on March 15th. That's it.
Thank you. I have one quick committee report from our new committee, the Senior and Disabled Tax Relief Committee. We had our first meeting last week, and I think for the public, it's important to know that the state, through State Law 12-129, has given municipalities the option of creating a tax relief program for homeowners who are either 65 or over or permanently and totally disabled. By a vote of the legislative body, which would be us, we have the option of investigating whether we can in fact enact a senior tax relief program. Many of you know that we already have one based on volunteer credits, and we have some that already run within the assessor's office. This would be on top of that. So currently, our tax relief committee is reviewing Glastonbury, Woodbury, and other towns to come up with an estimate of potential program costs and to see if it's feasible to develop a set of parameters for a program in Bristol. So they're still very much in research mode, but their next meeting is on Monday, March 18th at 7 p.m. at the City Hall. I think they're meeting in the executive room, and they are staffed by our assessor, Tom Donato, and Assistant Corporation Counsel, Tom Conlon. So if anybody has any ideas or interest in that, you can attend that meeting. And they have to report by June, so this would be something that we would be acting on very quickly if, in fact, they decide to put a proposal forward. Okay. Any other committee reports? Okay. Unfinished business. I just wanted to give a brief report to the council. It's very active at the state capitol right now. Several departments are independently looking at legislative pieces that would affect them. The IT department is monitoring the broadband bills, and we submitted testimony on Senate Bill 846. Tom Donato, especially in his role, is he here, as president-elect of his state association, is monitoring several pieces that would affect Bristol, and we've submitted testimony on those as well. We are following SB 454, which is the consolidation of smaller school districts into larger ones. One proposal would mirror the probate districts, which would mean Bristol, Plainville, and Plymouth, and Mayor Merchant and I had a conversation about that this morning. We're going to continue to explore some potential ideas about all kinds of shared services, not necessarily education, just to see what else we can do. We are all of the opinion here in Central Connecticut that we'd rather be in charge of our own regional initiatives as opposed to being told by the state what to do. The big ones are coming out of and affecting our Public Works Department: solid waste management, recycling, the collapse of the market in China. What are we going to do with our recyclables? And the fact that our budget right now is forecast to have to add $300,000 in order to take care of those tipping fees. So yesterday, I was at the Capitol testifying on House Bill 7298 and 7295. And a lot of this will come to fruition in the next couple of weeks as those bills receive joint favorable treatment, or hopefully some of them will die. So we'll keep everybody updated on the ones that have the most impact on Bristol. Moving on to new business, update on shared services. I do like to share with the council, because I forget who I talk to and who's on what boards, but there is a lot of communication, and I think when you have new ideas, new department heads, there's a lot more openness to sharing services and finding opportunities to work together. And I'm finding that there's a lot of new ideas floating around. One of them is the Public Works. Our engineering department has been assisting the BDA with the preparation of the GIS maps that are going to assist BDA and how they market the properties in our new opportunity zone. And we already have a serious inquiry from someone who specifically wants to locate his business in the opportunity zone. So that's a big piece right now. We've had continued success with our partnerships with the Board of Education. Many of you know that Public Works clears the snow from the school parking lots. We've also partnered with them to take on a funding request for some storm drainage that has been very difficult for them to manage at Mountain View, at Bristol Eastern, and a portion of Northeast. And if that's approved by the tenure capital, the Public Works will manage that project for the Board of Ed. Also, we decided last year to put off on the creation of that new parking lot at Muzzy Field. In the interim, the new leadership at the Park Department and Public Works are working together. We are going to do that project in-house if it's approved by tenure capital. They will create the engineering and storm drainage plans for the Muzzy Field parking lot next to where the old Sabino's was. And then the Department of Public Works staff will construct the parking lot. And this is estimated to be $150,000 in savings as opposed to the plans last year, which would put it out to bid. The Public Works is also cutting down a bunch of trees in Rockwell Park instead of sending that out for contract as well. Trees are a major safety and liability issue, and we need to address them as soon as they're brought to our attention. There's also a lot of cross-promotion going on. New leadership and staff in the Public Works and our new marketing director, they're doing recycling initiatives. And now they're also taking those recycling initiatives not only into the classrooms for Earth Day, but also to the April vacation summer camp and the summer camps for the Parks and Rec Department. And the BDA is working closely with the Board of Education on marketing what's great about our school system. And I think many of you know, too often we're focusing on the metrics and some of the funding challenges, but there's a lot of great things happening in the Board of Education in our schools. So they're taking an effort to promote the good things as well as some of all of us working on some of the challenges. So that's it for this month's update on shared services, and I think that there's a couple of big things pending that we'll hopefully be reporting on in April as well. And my last new business item is to bring everybody up to date that the census count is coming in 2020, and Bristol needs to be ready. We are forming a census count committee. We are using our Bristol Cares Committee as well as our Diversity Council to kind of be the champions of that. And we are announcing and kicking off Bristol's participation in the 2020 census on April 15th at 10 a.m. Everybody is welcome to come, and Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysowitz will be here because she is leading the state effort for the census count. And for those of you who may not be familiar, this is critical not only for Bristol but for our state, because our population counts determine a great amount of federal funding and how that flows to the state. So we need every person possible to be counted so that we can maintain those funding levels. Do any other council members have new business that they would like to bring forward? Okay, then I will turn our agenda over to our town and city clerk for resignations.
And there are no resignations, Your Honor.
Excellent. So the next item is appointments. The first set that I need to make are to join Councilwoman Mary Fortier, Board of Finance Commissioner Michael Lamoth, and Board of Education Commissioner Karen Hintz on the Stafford School Roof Replacement Committee. And the recommended appointees are Christine Irvin, the educational professional who is the school principal, John Freemuth, who is a member of the professional community of the city per ordinance, Andrew Wood, a member of the professional community, Richard Rosansky, a citizen taxpayer of the school area to be served, Justin Malden, citizen taxpayer of the district, and Tamisha Cobbs, a parent in the school area. Is there a motion to approve that list of names as presented?
So moved. Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next appointments, this next one, I'm departing from our tradition of having acting mayors for 4-month periods because with the departure of Councilman Maderos, who would have been up next, I'm going to revert to 2 months for the rest of the term. And the first one I'm doing is Councilman Dave Proleski for a 2-month term to May of 2019. And the purpose of this is that he's handling the police negotiations because I have a personal conflict with my husband being a police officer. By allowing him to be the acting mayor for this 2-year term, he can sign off on those contract documents and everything that needs to be done in his capacity as acting mayor, so I don't have to be involved in that. That also gives you a deadline of May council meeting to finish that contract. So that will be in a form, if somebody could make that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we'll continue with other council members, starting with Councilman Kelly for the following terms. On the Commission on Aging, I'd like to make a motion to, or have somebody make a motion to reappoint Dolores Ricker for a 3-year term to March of 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For the Cemetery Commission, 2 reappointments. Michael Seaman for a 3-year term to March of 2022, and Deanne Levesque, a 3-year term to March of 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Stormwater Trust, to reappoint Sean Dunn, a Section 2-9 resignation for an unexpired term to July of 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? This board meets quarterly, so the attendance is even stricter than our usual boards. Sean has a background in water management, and he would like to stay on. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now we have to codify some of the new council appointments. I did distribute this to the council members in an email, but I'd like to formally name Councilman Greg Hahn as the liaison to the Energy Commission. And I'd like to, that does not require a vote, right? Okay. So what does require a vote is appointing Councilman Hahn to serve on the Ordinance Committee, replacing Councilman Maderos.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I believe this also requires a vote to put Councilman Scott Rosato on the Police Commission, replacing Councilman Maderos.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To put Councilman Scott Rosato on the Youth Commission, replacing Councilman Maderos.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To put Councilman Rosato as the, are you a voting member of Aging or no? As the liaison to the Aging Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
And Councilman Rosato to the Parks Commission.
So
liaison.
moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. And I don't believe it requires a vote, but I will also formally, for the record, name him as the liaison to the Diversity Council. Okay, and I think that is it for our appointments tonight. Now I lost my agenda. Okay. Okay, moving on to agenda item 11.
To rescind the military leave policy approved January 10th, 2006, and replace it effective March 12th, 2019, with the attached policy providing pay differential and benefits for up to 18 months for eligible employees.
Okay, Councilman Rosato, do you have a motion to come forward?
Yes, I do. I move to rescind the old military leave policy dated January 10th, 2006, and replace it with the new policy effective March 13th, 2019.
Second.
Discussion on the motion?
The reason for changing this policy is simply to remove the old language referencing specific wars to make the policy more broad, encompassing all theaters of operation which were not included in the original version from 2006.
Okay. So I do have copies here. It was only a partial enclosure on the city council agenda. So in essence, this is the same policy that we've had since, I think there was actually one previous to 2006. So what we're doing is changing the compensation, wages, benefit, health insurance, and how the city handles life insurance, vacation and sick leave, and military orders for all city employees who are active or reserve stays the same. The language change occurs in the preamble, where instead of simply referencing, I think it was Iraq, Afghanistan, or Operation Enduring Freedom, it now says, do anywhere in the world as the military operational environment changes and new theaters of operation are introduced. So it's just an update based on where we are on the war on terror. This will be the third time that this policy has been updated since 2001. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That will be our new policy effective tomorrow. We have four executive sessions, and we do not have an addenda, right?
No, correct.
Okay. So I'm going to ask Corporation Counsel Clift to come to the podium. We have,
well, the first one is the Malhat Deborah versus City of Bristol. And going into there will be Attorney Richard Lacey and myself. With respect to the proposal to relocate City Hall, that would be all of the Assistant Corporation Counsels, Lacey, Conlon, Stieg, our Tom Denoto, Diane Waldron, Roger Russo, Ray Rogozinski, Mike Goman from Goman in York, and myself. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. I think that was it. And on the executive session to discuss tentative agreement between the City of Bristol and Local 233. I'm thinking, I want to be sure on this, Diane Waldron, Mark Penny, our Human Resources.
I don't think he's here, and, oh, he is here. I didn't even see you. Yes, he can come in. Yep.
And do we have any attorneys want me to come in? I'll come in.
Sure.
I'll come in.
Okay.
Okay, so just those three. And on the executive session to discuss the potential sale of 64 Lawndale Avenue, that'll be Attorney Lacey, Attorney Stieg, Ray Rogozinski, and Tom Donato.
Roger.
Roger Rousseau. Okay, I guess I'll pop in too, so see what's going on.
So I think what, in my humble opinion, we should do 12, 15, 14, 13.
Well, yeah, 12 is going to take just a few minutes, a minute or two. And 15 would be, yeah, I don't know, what do you think? 10 minutes for that one?
Okay.
Okay, that's a good order. We'll go with that. Okay.
Okay. So we need a motion to go into executive session as noted for agenda items 12, 15, 14, and 13, with the people as noted by Corporation Counsel Clift.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. For those of you in the viewing audience, this pretty much concludes the regular part of our meeting. We will probably be in executive session for at least 45 minutes. We will come out. There may or may not be action on any of these items, but at that point, our meeting will conclude. So thank you for coming, for those of you who are here visiting with us tonight. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are back in public session. Please let the record note that no votes were taken in executive session. Are there any motions to come before the council?
I have one, Your Honor, on item 12, the executive session to discuss the matter of Deborah Mailhot versus the City of Bristol. I hereby move that the City of Bristol enter into a full and final settlement agreement in the matter of Deborah Mailhot versus the City of Bristol, docket number HHB CV 17 603-9990S, in consideration of the payment of $15,000 to be paid by the city's insurance carrier. I further move that the council for the City of Bristol be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the settlement.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other motions?
Your Honor, with regard to item number 14 on the agenda, I move to approve the agreement between the City of Bristol and Local 233 of Council 4, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, effective July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2022, and to authorize the mayor, Ellen A. Zaposasu, to sign any documents and to refer this matter to the Board of Finance for any necessary action.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Hahn?
Yes, I have two motions in response to item 15. I hereby move to accept the offer of $65,238 from Nicholas DeManuel for the purchase of city-owned property known as 64 Lawndale Avenue. I further move that the matter be referred to Corporation Counsel to prepare and/or review any necessary documents. I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate same.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The second motion?
I hereby move the Corporation Counsel or Assistant Corporation Counsel be authorized to enter into an agreement with Bruce Wessels for possession of the premises known as 64 Lawndale Avenue in consideration of a payment not to exceed $7,500.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. With no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.